he says, well, because I know you know what you can do, and because I'm the jumper doctor, I said, I think the edge gets you in. And we went, all of our training was Camp 9 Mile outside of Frenchtown or wherever the closest one was there. And we trained right at 9 Mile. It was an old Forest Service layout with the buildings were still in place. At the foot of 9 Mile was a remark stall for the horses and mules used in the trails. But, from there, the rest is history. I had 7 practice jumps, all in the 9 Mile area. And my first jump, I have a list of my jumps.
Okay, you've got your notebook now?
Yeah.
What do you remember from that?
Well, just real quickly, my first jump was June 26th on a Thursday. Kraut was spotting. We jumped from the Ford Trimotor. I had a bad landing, and I was the first man out on the second stick.
Was this a training jump or a fire jump?
This was a training jump. The second jump was June 28th. Bauer was spotting, and I jumped from the Ford motor. Third man on the second stick. Third jump was Saturday the 28th. Bauer was spotting, bad direction, good landing, and the Ford Trimotor was the vehicle. The fourth jump, June 30th, 1947, Barnowski was spotting. Good direction, good landing, travel airplane, first man, second stick. The fifth jump, Tuesday, July 1st, 1947, Gorsuch spotting, bad direction, bad landing, Ford Trimotor, third man, second stick. This was a timber jump.
Did you hang up in the trees?
I got hung up in the tree. And that's a story in itself. I was up there 60 feet. Sixth jump was July 2nd. Manchester was spotting, good direction, good landing, Ford Trimotor, third man, second stick. That was a slip jump, where they taught us how to use the risers to get out of high winds. We would partially collapse the canopy by pulling down on the risers and slipping out of that wind shift.
So there were no dairy slots then to steer with? You slipped the canopy, or did you
we used the canopy for slipping one way or the other.
Oh, okay.
But this was emergency stuff. Seventh jump, July 3rd. Gorsuch was the spotter. Good direction, bad landing. C-47 was the first time we had a C-47 to use.
What do you remember about that?
That was a fast one. You stepped outdoors and you weren't ready for the slap you got out of those props. I think, if I remember right, I was on my back looking at the moon when that chute opened. And it reminded me that speed had a lot to do with jumping. Fire calls. I gotta have my glasses now. July 12th. Fire call 115, traveled from 135 to 220 and jumped. Started for fire at 5 o'clock walked until 6 a.m. 8 o'clock worked on fire. Start for water. 11 p.m. and returned from the creek at 4 a.m. with water bedded down, and we call that the Bear Creek fire. July 18th. Start for fire at 6:30, arrive at fire at 6:30, worked on fire from 1 to 6, worked on fire. These commentaries were for overtime, worked on fire or I didn't work on fire, and 6 o'clock worked in camp.
So you were working in the dark a lot of the time.
Yeah, this was, and we bedded down that night. We stayed overnight. On the 19th, which was a Saturday, we walked a mile and a half to get to the Lost Horse cabin on our way home, and we call that the Lost Horse fire in the Bitterroot National Forest. July 30th, Sweat Creek, six-man crew. And I listed some of the guys on this jump that were with me. It was a six-man crew. There was Knapp, Carver, Aiken, Bailey, Ailing, and Fisher. All I have is 38 hours overtime in the Beaverhead National Forest. August 8th, Lost Lake, four-man crew, who was Moore, Bangles, Dunaway, and Fisher, in the Kootenai National Forest. Had an ankle injury on that one because of a down snag. August 20th, this was a rescue jump for Don Durland. Don banged up his spine and ribs. It was a 10-man crew jump at 2:05 p.m. It was in we called it the Roaring Lion Mountain Bitterroot Forest. It was one hell of a hike getting out of there, 7.5 overtime.
How did Durland get hurt? Was he there earlier on an earlier jump, or what was the deal?
Oh, I had a snag, just an ankle injury.
Oh. No, but the rescue jump, though, when you went in for the guy with the back injury.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't have any rescue jump for well, I don't know as I even remember. I had the bough of a tree hit me in the lungs where the padding had slipped, and as a result I fell and banged up an ankle. But there was nothing to write home about. I continued to walk out and was on fire call on the next time.
Yeah.
So much for Durland.
Well, did you have any trouble with that, having just one lung or having a bad lung when you were training? Did it make it? So it worked out well for you.
No, I can handle work as well as anybody.
Yeah.
In fact, we used to have in training. We would have quarter-mile races uphill, and I was never the last one.
Yeah.
On that jump with me after Don Durland, we had Al Ailing, Don Durante, Vern Sullivan, Dick Anderson, Larry Armstrong, Oscar Cork, Bob Crone, Howard Garship, Harold Hackman, Al Hayton, Bill Wood, and Max Aiken. So it was a long hike out, and we had to change carriers. I don't even like to remember that one.
Why is that?
It was so long. We hiked, let's see, we jumped at 12:05, and there was 7.5 hours overtime. So we were on the trail with Don for 7 hours, carrying him in shifts. And those were the men that I just mentioned.
Right. Well, how did Don hurt himself?
Who?
The man that hurt himself. How did he become a casualty?
Don Derlin messed up his back.
How?
He hit a snag.
So he was jumping and he
Yeah, he was jumping. He was jumping in an earlier crew. He was jumping with a fire crew. I jumped with the rescue team.
I see.
So Don wasn't part of our jump crew, but he was the reason we were up there.
Was he hurt pretty bad?
Yeah, he was. I think he still lives. He still lives over in the Flathead country someplace. August 29th, Harold Hackman had a bad spine injury out of the Gallatin Fork in Bozeman. And we walked, we walked in. There was a high wind and the fire was hot. The crewmasters wouldn't let us jump. They said, we're going to land and you'll have to walk in for it, which we did. We started at 2 a.m. in the morning to get to the injury site. And we got back at 6 a.m. that morning. So we were on the trail for a little over 4 hours at night. It was 9 miles each way, it says, with a 10-hour overtime. Those rescue jumps were just as serious and challenging as a fire jump. And I believe, well, here's the last one is in the Nez Perce Forest. August 31st was a two-man spot fire. Lauren Fessler. Lauren was from New Hampshire someplace, and myself, just the two. We jumped out of a travel there. Smitty was spotting. It was a small smoldering fire that put it out without any trouble. And when it was out, we walked into sheer landing field. Yeah, I had a good jump and landed on a trail. Smitty was spotting for us. The ranger at Shearfield wanted to know what the hell we were doing there when we were supposed to walk out the other direction. But we had a map. We triangulated the three main peaks in the range we knew, and we triangulated where we were, exactly where we were at. And I said, if we just walk due east for about 4 miles, we'll come into the shear field, which we did. And the overhead were nice enough not to chew our butts out for being so dumb.